Welcome to the Global Business Talk Show, here on WABS 1170, brought to you by the Haitian American Chamber of Commerce, bringing you leaders and experts from across many industries, because your business bottom line is crucial. Stay up to date with the show and community at HaitiDistrict.com.
Bello. Yeah. Oh, no, no, no. Oh. Hey. Let it flow, yeah. Si ouvre l'écran con éléphant, mais t'obiti con ti fourmi. Si ouvre les couverts et la coussa, li gen règle for obéir. Si tout bon ouvre les ça changer friend, c'est pour montrer bonne volonté. Pour demander pour doit respecter, tandis qu'on pas respecter pas. Faut qu'on doit commencer, qu'on doit pas finir, et doit pas finir, qu'on pas commencer, non, non, non. Dread not dread that. Nous les changements, nous pas les guerres, nous la paix. Oh non, non. Dread not dread that. Nous voulons pour ça changer, pour la tranquille, nous voulons la cour tranquille, faut que la cour vienne tranquille.
As a member of the Haitian American Chamber of Commerce, your business and employees can enjoy a broad range of membership benefits and business services that we offer, such as networking, after hours and special events in South Florida and in Haiti. You can also participate in our weekly radio talk show for great opportunities to advertise and promote your business, receive member-to-member discount, as well as educational and mentorship opportunities. Contact us at 954-882-0571 or visit us online at www.HAAMCC.com. Welcome to the Global Business Talk Show. My name is Janan. We bring you the best. We bring you the experts so you could learn about what's going on in the community and how you could run your business to be prosperous. Today, we have Mr. John Way, who's going to show us the way. He is the Director of Candidate Qualification with the Broward Supervisor of Elections. Good morning. How are you, John?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure to have you. And throughout the show, we will also have Mr. McEddy Masson, and he is in charge of outreach. Good morning, McEddy.
Good morning, Janan. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Perfect. Elections are coming soon, and we have many candidates. And that's the reason why today we have Mr. John Way coming here to talk to you about the qualification process. But first off, tell us how long you've been with the Supervisor of Election, and how does a candidate in Broward County, because you represent the Broward County Supervisor of Election qualification team.
That's correct. So the process is fairly simple. I would say the easiest way to qualify to be a Broward County candidate would be to go to our website at browardsoe.org. On the yellow tab, there's a candidate info button. Mm-hmm. Listed under that candidate info button is another option called Become a Candidate. There you're going to find a multitude of documents and handbooks that will lead you through the process of getting started to be a candidate in Broward County.
Now, we want to specify that Broward County, their qualification process might not be the same for the state or for a city.
That's a common misconception. So the way it works works is a federal candidate would qualify for a federal office with the federal government and so on and so forth. So the state candidates like state house, state reps, they will go and qualify with the state with the Division of Elections. Any candidate that has a Broward County title, such as Broward County School Board, Broward County Clerk of Court, Broward County Supervisor of Elections, all those Broward County candidates would qualify with the Broward County Supervisor of Elections office and our team.
And also, I wanted to verify something. So even if somebody is running to be a judge for the county or for the circuit and it's within the county, they're not dealing with you, they're dealing with Tallahassee.
Actually, they're a point of clarification. So circuit judges do qualify with the state, but county judges qualify with our office.
So people need to be very careful when they're voting to make the differentiation between the circuit and the county.
Correct.
This is very important. As far as dates are concerned, tell us a little about the qualification process, because people think like there's another 3 months before the election. Nobody could just get in.
You know, this is not well known, but pre-qualifying is the 2 weeks before qualifying. And right now we're in the middle of pre-qualifying. 2 weeks before qualifying, which was May 25th. Also, it was Memorial Day. That was the first day you could turn in your qualifying paperwork as a candidate. We hold that, stamp it on the backside, and we hold it for the first day of official qualifying, and then it's processed. Now, the first day of official qualifying in Broward County for candidates is June 8th at noon. It starts, and it closes at June 12th at noon as well.
Meaning that even if for the past year people have been fundraising and they had declared themselves as candidate, if I choose right now to qualify and I'm able to be part of the qualifying process, I could just be in.
Your name can be on the ballot in November, right next to the president.
I wouldn't go that far, but it's a very good thing to know. What is the difference between a candidate and a write-in?
Okay, so a write-in is not going to pay the qualifying fee, and a write-in will not have their name listed on the ballot. So there could be multiple write-ins. A person actually has to do, as indicated, as write the name in the blank on the ballot. So where other qualified candidates pay a qualifying fee or they qualify by petition, their name goes on the ballot and there's an oval next to their name. If you qualify by write-in, there is an oval and there's a line, but no name. And it's incumbent on the voter to write your name in. Now, let me just say something. No write-in has ever won.
You're discouraging me.
I'm not trying to discourage. It's a fact. They don't need to open a campaign account if they're not accepting contributions or making expenditures. And again, they don't have the qualifying fee, so they don't have to have a campaign account.
Okay. Earlier you mentioned about the handbooks. Somebody have a choice to become a qualified candidate either because they pay
or they file by petition.
Now, do most people file by petition or do most people pay?
Most people pay. We found that maybe 20% of the people will try to qualify by petition. It's depending on the level, you could be required to secure 10,000 valid petitions to run for a county office. It's 1% of the voting population is what the requirement is. We have over 1 million voters right now in Broward County, 1.2 million voters. So you would be required to get 12,000 petitions to qualify by petition.
For the county.
And that's a big process.
Now, as I was trying to investigate about this, do you have to vet or to make sure that those petitions are signed by the right person? Nobody can cancel their petition, their signature. Do you have to ensure that all those names that they're giving you to the petitions are right?
That's a great question. Every petition that's submitted to our office, whether it's an initiative, a constitutional amendment initiative to change the Constitution, or a candidate petition, those are the two types. All those petitions are hand-checked one by one to verify that the signature is authentic and written in the voter's handwriting. Our team takes forensic signature analysis courses on a regular basis to be able to perform those signature analysis tasks.
Wow. This is a very important thing because most people don't know that you have to verify the signature. And further throughout the show, we will talk about updating your registration because
always a great idea.
Nobody signs the same way years after years, you know, and it's very important. We're going to quickly give a few notice because we are practically in COVID-19. I know that your office is open, but you don't take people inside.
Correct. Right now, the governmental center is closed to the public, including our office.
And I also know that you had suspended all the outreach activities. Is this still correct as of today?
It is.
Now that we had gone over the qualifying information with Mr. John Way, I think we need to do a little investigating about the deadline for the book closing. because you had mentioned several dates, and I think it's very important for people to understand that you just don't jump on that trend as it's moving.
Right.
You know, because people have a leg up in front of you. They have many, many months of planning. It's very, very important that the candidates, especially since we are in Broward County, understand that becoming a candidate requires much planning. Not only on your side, but also with what's going on with the Broward Supervisor of Elections. So tell us a little about the book closing and how important that is.
Okay, so book closing is more so for the voters. Book closing is the last chance to register to vote for the next upcoming election. So 29 days before an election, every election, the books close. And that's something that is unique to Florida. Not every state has that. Election laws change from state to state. But our book closing here in Florida is July 20th, 2020. That's your last opportunity to register to vote in the primary election, which will be held August 18th of 2020.
I want to add that for the book closing, anyone registered for the first time, that person has 29 days prior to the elections day to be part of the common elections. After that, anyone registered before that can participate in the elections, regardless that person changed the address and anything. But the book closing is mostly for people who register for the first time, and also if they want to change the party, so they have to do it before the book closing day.
John, you mentioned that it's mostly for the voters. I understand that you guys have the information available, but the candidate also need to know when their closing time is, because I've heard that sometimes people will come to vote. They're not supposed to be voting at that time. So in order for me, let's say that I'm a candidate and I'm trying to encourage people to vote for me, I need to let them know that make sure that if you want to vote for me, since I'm going for this area, you need to do this by then.
Let me just clarify something. So you can change your address within inside the 29 days. So if you're already a registered voter and you move to a different area, there's no problem with doing that. Okay. You will still be able to vote in your new area as long as you make that address change. The things that are prohibited are first-time registrations and party changes. Those are the two things where the books close and they cannot be changed until after the election.
We are with Mr. John Way and Mr. McEddy Masson. They are talking to you about the process for Broward County for the candidate to qualify, and we're going to go a little further in talking about several activities that they are allowing us, because though you have the right to vote, but each county has different ways of doing things like early voting and vote by mail. We're going to take a quick break, and before that I want to give Mr. Wade the opportunity. Do you think there's anything else that the candidates need to know about their being qualified for a position in Broward County?
You know, I just would like to say that our website is a great resource, not only for voters, but for candidates. And so I would strongly encourage anybody interested in being a candidate in Broward County, check out our website. It's a great starting place.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Time started yesterday, the day before today, another day, someday, it comes rolling your way. Tomorrow is today, today is yesterday. Will there be a new day? I'm searching every day. Eternity through one moment, fast frame of time and each fragment. Merging the days, don't ask me how. To a tiny point that is now. So by now you might agree. Be patient, you shall see. So it was, it is, shall be. That's where I'm now meant to be. Now is what was before. It will come. Time lapsed since yesterday, and one day it's today. Does not dwell in the past. The future goes too fast. What comes after today? Tomorrow is on the way. The rhythm of the fall, the cycle of it all. It is blending the old with the new, as if it is another view, mixing the past with the present, ancient moment, future segment. So now was there before, it's time saying a call. By now you might agree, be patient, you shall see. So it was, it is, shall be. That's where I'm now meant to be. Now is what was before, it will come back once more.
Take care of today.
Take care of today.
Day by day, find a way.
You better find a way.
Today is away. Tomorrow then next day.
Whoa,
All is not in the past.
what's
Coming is to last.
today might be your day. Don't wait another day.
How many times have you wanted to make a change? Change in our schools, in our environment, and in our relationship with other countries. Well, guess what? You can make that change. All you have to do is vote for the people who you feel will bring about these changes. It is not enough to complain or just hope that things will get better. Stop backseat driving and steer our country where you think it should go. Some people think that one vote doesn't matter, but each vote gives politicians a better understanding of the opinions of the people they are representing. Opinions on important issues such as gun control, education reform, immigration, climate change, and abortion. Without our vote, they would have no idea what we think of these issues. In the last presidential election, only 57.5% of eligible citizens voted. That means politicians are unaware of the opinions of nearly half of the country. Each vote is a chance to speak your mind and work towards a better country and a better world. So vote for someone who you think could help us get there. Vote for how you want our country to change.
And we are back with the Global Business Talk Show. We are here with the two gentlemen from the Broward Supervisor of Election. Mr. John Way earlier explained to you the process of becoming a candidate or being a candidate in Broward County. We're going to talk about voter participation. So now we have many candidates, and I think in Broward County we have about 1.1 million.
That's correct. 1.2 million.
I gotta make sure that I remind you that Mr. John Way told me that the Broward Supervisor of Election is a nonpartisan
Office, correct.
office.
Yep. We're like the referee.
So I'm not going to even mention how many Democrats or how many Republicans are part of the county, because we're here to mostly educate the candidate and the voters. When we have so many voters and so many candidates, how many people go out and vote, whether it's a presidential election or a non-presidential election? Do you feel like Broward County voters, should I say, go out and vote?
You know, I'm going to have to say yes to that. I've looked at the numbers for the last two general elections, so 2016, which was a presidential, and the 2018 election, which was a governor's race. Both of those, although nationally turnout was down, Broward County made history in both of the last two elections. We had a historical turnout in both. In one election, we had 700,000, and the other election, we had 800,000. Respectively, in the last two general elections. That for Broward County has broken every number that we had.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to congratulate you, because earlier you emphasized on the website, there's only so much information that somebody would get from having you or having McEddy out doing the outreach. But I feel as though if the information is out there, accessible and correct, that would encourage the voters to just go out and vote because they do understand the process at that time, you know? Because look at us already in May, we're talking about something that's going to happen all the way in November. I think the community at large helps the voters understand the process, and that's the reason why they go vote. Would you agree?
I definitely agree with that.
100%.
Yeah.
So kudos to the Broward Supervisor of Election and the team that work with them. So we're going to talk about voter participation, and we're going to talk about early voting. Voter participation is a great thing because they get the information. Early voting, how is early voting working out with you guys at the county level?
I think it's extremely well received. I think the numbers of turnout for our early voting locations, which we have 22 of them, by the way, in Broward County, those facilities are set up to process thousands of people per day. And the fact that you can live in Hollandale and be in Coral Springs and step into a facility and vote there on your local ballot in Hollandale, I think that elections have come a long way.
And that would be for both the primary and the general.
That's correct. We have what they call a ballot on demand. We have 577 precincts, so you have 577 different types of ballots. And this ballot on demand will print any style of ballot on demand. If you walk in from anywhere in the county into any one of the early voting facilities, we don't have stockpiles of your ballot like we do on election day. They literally print the ballot right there, customized for you.
For me. Meaning early voting, I live in Allendale, but I work in Cold Spring. I decided I want to go and vote.
You walk right in the Coral Springs
facility,
and you can vote on your Hollandale ballot technology.
The voters, the public, do they welcome that early voting? Do they feel like it's safe?
The trend has been up. It used to be that election day had the most people voting. And over the last maybe 7-8 years, the trend has been to go to vote by mail and early voting. Now I would say we're expecting the vote by mail this year to be 60%.
Well, we have no choice, really.
Right. Because of the COVID, we're expecting a 60% of the total turnout of the election, whatever that is. 60% of that we're saying is going to be vote by mail.
But in the previous year, have you seen the trend where you could see the numbers where people were actually welcoming that vote by mail? Were the numbers up enough?
Well, yeah. I mean, every year with a fine-tooth comb, we go over all the results, all the turnout of every segment, every precinct, every race, every district, and we analyze that information. It helps us allocate resources, people, supplies. That lets us know. So we have to track that information of turnout to know where the resources should go.
I'm going to ask this question to McEddy because I think I heard him speak about it prior. When somebody votes early, I often hear people like, is it safe? And I will quote you that you say that when they vote early, those ballots are not open until the day that they're counting them.
That's correct. And also, I just want to let your listeners know that here in Broward County, every vote counts. I vote by mail. I have people, friend of mine or some relatives, they vote early. Mm-hmm. So I encourage them to do so because in any way that regardless the way that you vote, here in Broward County, we make sure that every vote counts. So nobody has to have any doubt about voting, about casting their ballots.
And I remember at that time you said that I'm working for the Broward election office and I use it. It's because I know that it's secure.
That's correct. That's correct.
So that was a very nice interview that I watched you give once to a sister station about how important it is to vote early. My experience has been that most of the days where they have election, it's raining. I mean, look at us in May already. I feel like I'm in hurricane season, so I would never want to wait the day of the election to go because August is still hurricane season, and sometimes in October, early, or November, on the day of the election, it is still raining. So we definitely encourage the people to do that. Now, your outreach activities, you're no longer going to have them, or maybe you're not going to have as many this year.
Yes, we're going to have outreach this year, because of the COVID-19 situation. So we were very careful because we cannot really go out there just like that. So we have to follow all the instructions by the governor and by the county officials as well. So yes, we will definitely go out and educate people. And when you were talking about the early voting, and I just want to add something. Only early voting that people can vote and also on the elections day, but we do have the vote by mail.
Yes.
And we are encouraging people to vote by mail because I know a lot of people will be a little bit hesitant appointment to go to vote or to cast the ballots. So we encourage them. They can vote by mail as well, because we have a good process in Broward County. They vote by mail. So also anywhere you can be in the world, we will be able to send you that ballot. So for someone who is living overseas, we start sending the ballot 45 days prior to the election day. So there is no way that someone can come with excuses saying that they don't receive the ballot or they don't know. But we do have everything in place to satisfy everybody to make them to cast the ballots.
Voting by mail, it's not something that you guys decide to just say, oh, DJ, why don't you just vote by mail? I'm always going to make reference to the website. I will call the office or I would go online and I would request to have that.
Yes.
Now, my mom, sometimes she's in the island, and right now she's quote-unquote stuck. So if she wanted to vote by mail, she could just go online and request for you to send her a ballot even if she's overseas.
That's correct. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
This is a la carte. This is a great service. John wanted to say something.
I just want to add something to what McEddy said. Now, there is a new provision. If you're changing your address and you'd like a vote by mail sent to an address that is not currently on file, we will need a written request with the signature on it. But it can be emailed back to us. So you can write it out, scan it, and email it, or send us a picture of the request, and that is sufficient.
Because we have a lot of people who are stuck overseas and then they still want to be part of the process this year.
Yes, and they will be able to vote. If they call us and give us the address, wherever they are, we will be able to send them the ballot.
I've been watching the election with the Broward Supervisor of Elections for a long time because I've been a Broward County resident for over 20 years now. And one of the things that I like about the way your process works, it's check and balance. You verify, because earlier you said that you could send the information, but just like you said, John, they got to make sure that you could verify that that person is requesting that address and that address is on file. So this is very important. So during this segment, we touch on two things that were very important. The voters' participation, it's up, so that's when everybody's doing their job. The activists, the advocates, the county, the supervisor of election, and the people who are there, the community leaders as well. Because if all those people were not doing their job, not so many people will be so willing to just go and vote. Because oftentimes you hear people telling you that, the system is just that and nothing's going to change. So Broward County voters feel like, they have a say in the voting process, and we will say that we are proud of them. Early voting. This year, early voting will be, would you know how many days prior? Is it 10 days, 7 days? Because sometimes I know that there's an issue and it's different on each county. Some counties offer you 10 days or 7 days. I'm not sure. So you guys tell me.
Yes, this year for primary election, which is going to be August 18th, is going to be the election day. And this year we're going to have early voting for 9 days.
Okay.
And that will start from August 8th to August 16th.
Was it the same last year, or did you increase the days? Or
sometimes we increase it, sometimes we decrease. Is depending on the election. For instance, for general elections, the early voting will be 14 days.
14 days?
14 days early voting for general elections.
Which is the maximum.
So now, everybody better get up and go out and vote. 14 days, that's practically 2 weeks for you to decide.
12 hours a day.
12 hours?
Yes.
Every day. 14 days.
And I did forget to ask you. So 12 hours, meaning you open early and you
7 to 7.
7 to 7.
7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
I think we are very spoiled here in Broward County because
And
no comment.
And not only spoiled, but I want to remind you, GJ, that in each early voting sites we have people speaking other languages.
Yes.
We have Spanish speakers. We have Creole speakers. So anyone who is not comfortable with the English, you will be able to have someone in each early voting sites to help you vote.
I think that it was very important because I've done some reading about the language, what they would call the minority language, asking a few people about the fact that if you're an American citizen, everybody would expect you to speak English. But there are some people who have an exemption, and that by the Federal Voting Act, I think, that, if you could be, let's say I'm 82 and I become a citizen.
Yes, that's correct.
Even if I decide to learn English and all, my understanding of the language might not be good enough for me to just go to the ballot. So in that sense, and I'm going to keep on saying it and giving the voters the possibility, the access to understand and process the information the way that would make them make the right choice for their candidate or for whomever they want to vote, I think it's very important. So far now you have the English, you have Spanish, and you have Creole.
That's correct.
Okay, that is very important. I need to recap for my people. 14 days, 12 hours.
That's for the general
That's
election.
For the general.
For
9
November.
days for the primary. So no excuse. I know sometimes people tell you that, they're working, that they have 2 jobs, they have 3 jobs. They make it very easy for you to vote. If I can vote by mail and I could vote early, what happened the day of the election?
Actually, the reason that we offered all those choices to people just to decrease the line on the election day, because in the past, it used to be a lot of people standing in line for hours to cast the ballots. So I believe that with the early voting and vote by mail, that's a very good way to ease the process for people to cast the ballot.
Yeah, I think it definitely eased the process, because I know that the day of the election, you have a certain time for you to close. If everybody's not rushing that day, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm at the door at 7, you have to wait for me. If when I go inside, I decided that I lost my glasses and I spent another hour in there, so the whole county is waiting for me. Those were the bad stories that you guys have to do.
Please don't do that.
So, like McEddy says, take advantage of the way that we are trying to ease the process for them. So let's say half of those people already voted by mail or however or earlier. The day of the election, it makes the process easier, and then you will get the result faster.
And let me explain you about the beauty of the vote by mail. As you know, the ballots, sometimes they have amendments. Sometimes we have many amendments. So people, they like to take time to read every lines in the ballot. So when you apply for vote by mail, you have the opportunity to sit at home on to even though you are with a group of friends, so you can go over your ballots
At your leisure.
at your leisure, so you don't have to rush. So to me, that's a beauty of understanding everything of what you're going to vote for.
Yeah. Especially who you're going to vote for, because earlier I mentioned that we have so many candidates. So when sometimes you have 2 or 3 candidates to choose from, well, I should say 3 or 4 candidates to choose from, it's easier for you when you're at home to just go and find out about that candidate, their platforms, and what they stand for.
That's correct.
I think this is very important for you guys listening to understand how the process is, how it's important for the candidate to do their job, how you as a citizen, a voter, to just go out and cast your ballot. We're going to take a quick break, and we will probably recap if Mr. John or Mr. Mason had forgotten about anything. And when we come back, we're going to talk about updating your vote by mail and employment opportunities that are still available regardless of COVID. Anybody who had lost their job, if they want to look for a position, temporary may it be, or maybe throughout the summer, and God knows they might have a permanent job. We will be right back with the goodies.
Hello, I'm Perez Hilton. Did you know that more people in the United States check their Facebook and watch the Super Bowl than exercise their right to vote? We've got some serious issues to deal with. So how come so many of us don't even bother to vote? Is it because we don't care? Or maybe it's because we don't know our history.
So let's go back, way back. Our country's first election came after fighting for our independence, a fight that cost many lives, but it was worth it because instead of being ruled by a king, we were finally able to make our own laws.
But not everybody was allowed to participate. You see, back then, you had to own property, be white, and a man in order to actually vote. Now, things continued that way for about 80 years, until after the Civil War, when slavery was abolished and all men were given the right to vote.
Now hold up a minute. Just because we had the right to vote didn't mean we could use it. See, all these new voters wanted to participate, which threatened the people in power and their ability to stay in power. So they tried to stop us with violence and shady new requirements like literacy tests and poll taxes. We had to fight for nearly 100 years before the Voting Rights Act passed, which finally outlawed these dirty tricks.
And you weren't the only ones that had to fight for your right to vote. Somehow women got left out and had to organize and fight state by state. Until we took our fight to Washington and finally got our right to vote all across the country. And even once the laws guaranteed every person the ability to vote, you still had to be 21 in most states. So when our government began drafting people under 21 to go fight in Vietnam, they realized their lives were at stake and they had no say. Young people all across the country rose up in protest and demanded that everyone over 18 should be allowed to vote.
And since then, young people's votes have been crucial in deciding lots of big elections. Like in 2008, when a black candidate had a real chance to become president, young people showed up in record numbers. And every year, we make up a larger share of the voting population, giving young people more power, but only if we participate.
So let me break it down. Together, there is so much we can decide, like whether or not we should go to war, or how we spend our money, and how we power our lives.
It's up to you to make your choices and shape our future. If we sit on the sidelines, then others will make it work for them instead of us. So let's make our voices heard.
So what would it take for you to vote?
Bilo.
Yeah. Oh, no, no, no. Oh. Let it flow, yeah. Si ouvre l'écran con éléphant, mais d'habitude quand tu fourmis. Si ouvre les couverts et la coussa, les guerres les vont obéir. Si tout bon ouvre les ça changer, friend, c'est pour montrer bonne volonté. Pour demander pour doit respecter, tandis qu'on pas respecter pas. Faut qu'on doit commencer, qu'on doit pas finir, et toi pas finir, qu'on pas commencer, non, non, non. Dread not dread that. Nous les changements, nous pas les guerres, nous la paix. Oh non, non, dread not dread that. Nous voulons pour ça changer, pour la pouvoir. Tranquille, nous voulons la cour tranquille. Faut que la cour vienne tranquille.
I thought this was a very tough talk show today, asking those guys the questions about the election and trying to stay within the line of nonpartisanship. No, it was really nice, but I think we saved the best for last. We're gonna breeze through at the end of this interview here, where we had been talking to Mr. John Way, definitely showing us the way, and Mr. McEddy Masson, whom you have met several times in Broward County toward the outreach activities that the Broward County has done for the past, oh my God, so many years. We see McEddy at the swearing sometimes for the citizenship.
Yes.
Anytime there's a group of people, festivals, I've seen him in festivals as well, working. Anytime there are several people sitting together, enjoying themselves, the Broward Supervisor of Elections and show on TV as well, on the radio station. And we need to have the right information in order for us to make the right decision. And that's the reason why early in the process, we invited those guys to come and tell you about the process and how it is important for you to just go and cast your vote. Earlier also, we spoke about check and balance. Many people decide, though John says like last year and the year before for the presidential election, we had a good turnout, but some of you didn't do anything. And I'm pretty sure that you don't sign your name the same way. So now we're going to talk about making sure that your card, even though you don't have, not all of you guys have a physical card, that the information on your voter's card is updated. Tell us, John, how do we go about doing this?
You know, updating your signature is probably the most important part to making sure that your vote by mail counts. There are a number of people, no matter what kind of information or colors or arrows a number of people don't sign the outside of their vote by mail ballot. And therefore, the ballot will not be counted as valid if you do not sign the outside of your ballot. And that's one of the number one issues. The second biggest issue is the concern for voters that their signature does not match and that we will disqualify their ballot if it does not match. Now, I just want to dispel something for you and your listeners. Any ballot that is rejected goes before the canvassing board, which is the executive committee that decides on whether to accept a ballot in the first place or not. So no ballot is simply just, this one's no good. A determination is made by a 3-person panel, which includes Broward County Commissioner, the SOE, and a county judge. The 3 of them together decide what happens to ballots that we say as a SOE office should not be counted. They make the final determination.
I'm going to pretend I'm an 8-year-old. When you started the sentence,
Me too.
When you started the sentence, you didn't say that the most important things is to change your address or your party. You said your signature. Having an updated signature is something that is very important. And what I took is that not only the day that you are voting, but also if you were to get your ballot by mail, if you were to stay home and you're not in the presence of quote unquote the employees of the county telling you like, well, you said your name was John, but I see that you wrote Mary, So it's very important that your signature is updated. And you mentioned earlier about the forensic. So if my R at the end of my name doesn't go up, but everything else goes in, so the machine will probably accept it. Now, if the machine were not to accept it, there's still another check and balance where that vote will be counted, but they'll have to go in front of a panel.
That's correct.
Oh, I passed. Now I'm on 9th grade. This is so important for you guys to understand how important it is for you to keep your information updated, especially if you have not voted recently. I feel like people's signature change every 6 months.
I want to add one more thing. There's been a change to the law. There's another item called a cure affidavit. So what happens now, if your ballot is deemed not valid when it arrives at our office, by law, by state law, we're required to send you a notice that it's not going to be counted, the reason why it will not be counted, and a document that you can fill out called a cure affidavit. And if you fill that out and turn that back in, your vote by mail can be counted. And you have 2 days after the election to cure a vote by mail ballot.
That is amazing. And as we were talking earlier about the early voting, and myself, I would stress it, how important it is, because I'm thinking about our elderly community. Let's say I have Alzheimer's or Parkinson, and I have to sign my name. Going into the precinct and signing my name and sitting home and signing my name, the chances of it really looking like the one that you have on your card is better. So I like to take my time to do things and to do things the right way. So especially for the people, I have younger friends, they have the handshaking disease, for many reasons. Sometimes it's not Parkinson, but sometimes they have that issue. So it's very important for you to keep your voter's card updated.
Right, with the signature updated.
The signature needs to be updated. Your CD needs to be updated, because I think that there's also some issues. Sometimes people are not updating their addresses, and then they feel like, okay, I used to live in Cold Spring and I'm in Coconut Creek, even if it's still the county, but certain candidates I cannot vote for, because when the ballot comes, it goes for Cold Spring, but not for the candidate in Coconut Creek, sorry.
I'd like to add one more thing. We encourage voters year-round to provide us with what we call a signature update. Mm-hmm. And that can be done at any time. It doesn't even have to be an election year. It can be an off year at any time. If you have any concern whatsoever about your signature on file, the one that we've saved, and we save multiple. Anytime you send us a signature for years and years, we collect all of them. So we're not checking your signature against one other signature. Okay. We're checking your signature against multiple signatures that you provided to us in the past. Mm-hmm. But if you're concerned that maybe it's changed recently, you can always at any time provide a signature update. And the most recent signature is probably the first one we're going to look at.
Okay. So they could do it all year long, and then you guys compare it with severals.
Correct.
If you got married, you change your name, all this information, all this is very important. Do we have to say anything to the younger folks? Because I know you have younger people voting now. And my son changes signature every time he feels like it. So he needs to keep it updated. He has bad penmanship. Let's not talk about that.
I noticed that they do not offer handwriting in school anymore, and it shows. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes, that's all he's going to say. With all this we also have opportunities for the audience, people who want to work for the elections office. I don't want to go and ask you, do you hire all year long or just during the election? Oh, he's going to say, let's go to the website. For election year this year, so I'm sure that there's some opportunities for people who want to work with the Broward Supervisor of Election. How do we go about doing this?
We always are in need of people to work, especially during the elections, because we have many positions that we are looking for people. We have the call center, we have the clerks, and you can be the VST, that voting system technicians, and you can be, if I really take time to name them, that's gonna take a long time. Mm-hmm. So we have many positions, including truck driver, helpers. The best way, if someone wants to participate or want to sign in, is just to call 954-459-9911. 954-459-9911. That's the number to call if you want to participate, if you want to work during the elections, and we always welcome you to sign in.
Now, when somebody decides to go and apply for a position at the SOE, what are the requirements? Do you guys welcome bilinguals?
We do welcome bilingual, and as a matter of fact, as we mentioned earlier, we do have a Creole speaker and a Spanish speaker on every early voting site. So, and also, yes, we do have people speaking different languages.
McEddy, that's the second time that you mentioned that. Is it at the discretion of this Supervisor of Election, or is it statewide that we need to have a Creole and a Spanish, or does it have to do with the demographic?
By law, I believe that in Broward County we have to do everything in English and Spanish. Okay. As far as for the Creole, that to me that's at the discretion of the Supervisor of Elections.
So if I was living in Hardy County, where there's probably only 10 Haitians, so okay.
Yes.
So
no Creole in Hardy County. Sorry.
No, if it's less than 1%, we're not counting it. So we've had several sections throughout this interview where I
just want to encourage everyone. We have a strong need for poll workers, bilingual in Spanish and Creole. We also have a multitude of different opportunities in different sections of the elections office. Some of them are for a single day. Some of them, like early voting, are for 2 weeks, no days off. So you're going to get overtime and a lot of pay. Mm-hmm. Some of them will literally start now and take you all the way to December. So there are a lot, and I'll say it again, there are a lot of opportunities at the SOE office. We encourage all your listeners to reach out to us.
I'm smiling hearing you say that, the days and the times, because I'm thinking there are some people who are professional election workers. They work at all elections. You always see them because they understand the process. And the reason why we talk about this right now is because there is a process. You don't just apply and because there's a need, you're just going to go and work. You have to be trained. You have to be trained to know the machine. And I know many years ago, they make sure that they cross-train you as well so that they could make sure that they feel the need, because if this year they need more poll worker, maybe next election they need more deputy workers. You know? Now, this was fun.
Yeah, this was exciting. I like this.
I like this. This was fun. We brought you the best. We brought you the expert from the Broward Supervisor of Election. I personally and my team want to congratulate them for many, many of their accomplishments. The languages, the fact that they have a lot of people coming out and vote, the goodies, the spoiling of so many days, being able to do early voting, and the fact that your website is definitely a resource in this community. Besides finding out things through the outreach activities that you were so big at throughout the years, that I've watched you. But I went to your website and I was able to find many relevant information for everybody in the county. Now, we never said the last word because I will invite you back to talk about more things.
You better.
And I know there's always changes. Anything that you guys feel like the audience should remember?
Yes. I would like to tell your audience that feel free to call the office. We're always there to serve them. And the right number to call the office for any question is 954-357-7050. 954-357-7050. Or they can go to our website at www.browardsoe.org. I think that's the best way to get in contact with us and any inquiries they may have, please call us or contact us, and we will be able to come up with an answer.
Well, I'd just like to thank you for having us here today. I think it's important that we have many people like yourself getting out the good word and dispelling rumors, putting out accurate information, and directing people to the right resources. So we really appreciate everything that you've done.
Thank you so much for being there with us today. Our audience is ready. They've heard it here at the Global Business Talk Show from the expert, and now they only have one thing to do. Get out and vote. Maybe you want to be a candidate, maybe you want to be a voter, but now you are informed. Thank you. You've been listening to the Global Business Talk Show. Remember to tune in next week for more guests, interviews, information about businesses, and beyond.